Today we'll be taking a look at the Dalian, the Tier 8 Premium Pan-Asian Cruiser, and the reward for the ongoing April 2025 campaign. I had a hell of a time getting footage to provide a review for this ship. For whatever reason, every Tier 8 battle I've tried to play with this thing has been a terrible one-sided blowout. And really, this battle is no exception, but at least it demonstrates the thing I wanted to demonstrate, which is the damage output of the Dalian. Spoiler alert, it's pretty good, although the ship itself, I would say, is just alright. This is not the best campaign ship Wargaming has ever done. It's one that I suppose would be entirely skippable for some people, although if it were me, I probably would buy the Admiralty backing just to grind out all the other goodies, ship parts included. We did find in my Hindenburg Marathon analysis that if you didn't buy the campaign but still grinded out the entire campaign this update, then by the end of things, provided you buy the Admiralty backing for the next two campaigns, you'll still have enough to get Hindenburg. So I wouldn't worry too much about this thing. But again, it's not a bad ship to have, and we'll see its damage output capabilities in this battle. Before we really get started, though, I'll put the commander build on the screen. I've been using the free-to-play Pan-Asian Cruiser Commander Chen. I suppose you could use Azerlane Harbin on this thing, because it does have torpedoes. We'll get to that in a moment. And speaking of Harbin, if you take a look at the hull, this basically is a Harbin. It's just up-tiered to Tier 8. It's got slightly more HP at 35,000 compared to Harbin's 29.5k, but it's not an especially survivable cruiser, let's say. It's also got no armor, and sometimes no armor equals best armor. I've certainly been overpenned in this thing, but once or twice I think I have been dev-struck. Maybe not dev-struck, but certainly somebody's hit my citadel and sunk me. Anyway, on with the rest of the stats. For the guns, sort of the same story as Harbin. There are 10 130mm destroyer caliber guns, Russian destroyer caliber that is. They only have a 14.9 kilometer range, 4.4 second reload, snappy turret traverse time of 9.7 seconds, and the HE does a maximum of 2,000 damage with a 10% fire chance. As you can see, the fire chance is quite good. We're on our third fire right now, 10% on destroyer caliber guns, 10 of them that reload in about 4.5 seconds. Not bad. Also, the AP I've found is surprisingly good. I think we'll see an example of that maybe in this match. I can't quite remember. The AP maximum damage is 2,600, and I found it's, pretty good against broadside battleships and cruisers. I haven't really gotten any citadels with it. These are tiny destroyer caliber guns, except I lied. Actually, I did get one citadel, but it was on a Minotaur, and practically anything can citadel the Minotaur when it's broadside. As for the torpedoes, which we've already launched and gotten no hits, well, they are conventional torpedoes, unlike the Jinan in front of us. We're lucky here to get out of the way of those deep waters. You don't see them until they're right in front of your face, and that makes them, in my opinion, some of the scariest torpedoes in the game. The torpedoes on the Dalian are not quite like that. It's got 12 of them in 4 triple launchers, 2 on either side of the ship. So from either broadside, you can launch up to 6 torpedoes. They reload very quickly in 82.8 seconds, and they've got a maximum damage of 15,100. The sea detectability range is 1.2 kilometers, not quite as ridiculously stealthy as the Pan-Asian deep waters, which I believe have a 0.8 kilometer detectability time, or detectability range by sea. These are a little bit more dodgeable, but unlike the deepwater torpedoes, they can hit destroyers. So I guess that's the main benefit here. They have a range of 10.8 kilometers, at least with Chen at the helm. He's got a skill that buffs the range slightly, so I believe the base range is just 10 km even. And they travel at 60 knots, which is not slow, but it's certainly not fast. As for the AA defenses, I have to say they seem all right. I've ran into a few CVs, one of which was a midway, legendary tier. And at one point, he did fly over my ship. You can see we have the defensive AA consumable. When I activated that, it took a moment, but the AA did end up shooting down all 12 of his 12-plane squadron. He may have flew into the flak and munched on that a little bit, so I don't know what that really says about the overall efficacy of the AA, but it does shoot down planes. That's the bottom line here. As for the maneuverability, this is not an especially fast cruiser. 33.4 knot top speed, but a great 660-meter turning circle, rivaling some destroyers, and then a 6.9-second rudder shift. And speaking of things that rival destroyers, the concealment here is a real highlight. I believe I'm spec'd into double concealment with Swirsky and Mikawa. And, well, we have 7.9 kilometer detectability by sea. That might make the Dalian one of the least detectable cruisers in the entire game. So essentially what we have here is an oversized destroyer with a citadel. And of course the smoke screens, we haven't talked about those yet, but they are the Pan-Asian smokes. And with the fully packed skill on Chen as the commander, we've got 5 of them. They disperse for 31 seconds, so you can actually create quite a large cloud with them. And they last for 72 seconds. And then they only take 106 seconds to cool down. So by the time you've used the smoke screen for its entire duration, you're not very far off from having another ready to go. I think a little bit less than 1 minute. They're almost like the extended versions of the British destroyer smokes, and they're really, really useful. You can deploy these smoke screens with a lot more ease than some other smoke cruisers because they don't last that long and they reload very quickly. So if you end up wasting one, it's not that big of a deal. You can see we weren't staying in that smoke screen for the full duration. It's still got about 20-something seconds left to go, and yet we'll have another one ready to go in less than a minute. So that's quite nice. And the smoke screen allows you to, post up wherever you'd like and have mobile concealment so that you can launch your torpedoes and shoot your main battery guns at things. However, in order to really deal damage with this thing, it can be a little bit of feast or famine. What you need is a situation where you've got things pushing into you on a flank, and, well, that'll happen sometimes. It's certainly happening in this battle, but it's not a guarantee. If you ever find yourself in a situation where you're going to need to push into the enemy, well, then you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. You just don't have that much HP or armor, and it's not all that hard to take you out. Plus, the main battery range is limited if you don't build into it, which I haven't done, and I don't see why you would. There, we get a citadel against the GK, or the GK gets a citadel against us, rather. Probably because we're too angled. Maybe if we had been broadside completely, we would have gotten overpenned. However, the GK appears to have pushed into our next salvo of torpedoes, and you can see we can launch these things pretty much on cooldown very quickly. Will the torpedoes be enough to take out the GK? I can't quite remember. Doesn't look like it. He does eat too, but he's still alive. And my team, well, the same can't be said for them. The enemy team has 4 kills, we only have 2. Things are going south very quickly, and they're not really going to get better. This is going to be a terrible, tragic loss, but it is a good demonstration of the damage output on the Dalian, which is why I wanted to show it to you. Otherwise, I did play a lot of games where, as I said a moment ago, it's really feast or famine with this thing. I played a lot of very famine-type games. Not a lot of damage, just blowouts where the blue team ran straight through the reds, and I didn't really get a chance to have any push into me or do anything to them. And now at this point, we've been reduced to 4 ships, as soon as I say that. The enemy team still has 6, so I doubt there's any way we're going to be winning this, but we're going to do our best to get as much damage as possible on the Yamato and the République before this battle is over. So, basically, this is a slight variation of the typical Pan-Asian cruiser gameplay, with the main line, the Sejong, the Harbin, even the Jinan at legendary tier. You have significantly more torpedo power. Both the Sejong, which is tier 8, along with this thing, and the G9 have far more torpedoes than this thing is capable of putting into the water, and those torpedoes are much stealthier. They can't hit destroyers, but they can hit cruisers and battleships, and I found that they're, well, maybe a little bit more reliable than the conventional torpedoes. This is sort of a different kind of take on that design of ship, and I suppose it's unique, although it does follow the debut of the Azur Harbin commander and ship in the last update, I believe. And of course, Azur Harbin is just a copy-paste of the regular Harbin with conventional torpedoes, albeit at tier 7. And this is sort of the same thing, just up-tiered. So it's really nothing we haven't seen before, and that's why I'm not too hype on it being a fantastic campaign ship. It's not bad, it's not fantastic. I'd say it's just okay, and, you know, it might be a nice ship to have in your port and take out every once in a while, but I don't think it's going to be winning any rewards for Best Campaign Ship of 2025. Hope you enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.